So we're going to graph a radical function or a square root that is y equals negative square root of x plus 1 minus 2. So to be able to graph this, we have to know the parent graph, which is y equals root x, and y equals root x is just a graph that looks like this, where the domain of this function is x is greater than or equal to 0, and the range of the function is y greater than or equal to 0, because the graph starts right here and moves to positive infinity, so that's why the domain. And the range starts right here and keeps on going up as the graph levels off a little bit, but it still keeps on going up to positive infinity on the y-axis. So to be able to graph this, the first thing, always find out what your domain is. So if I'm finding the domain of this, I take what's inside the square root, which is x plus 1, and I say it has to be greater than or equal to 0. And the reason we do that is we cannot square root a negative number, so x plus 1 always have to be positive. So any number that you put in for x, the result inside here has to be positive or a 0 to be able to square root it. So now I'm going to solve this, so the domain x has to be greater than or equal to negative 1. Once you get this value, then you go ahead and make table of values, x, y. Now, the choices of x, the first number you choose is the negative 1. And so if you take negative 1, sum it into the original equation, here, negative 1 plus 1 gives you 0, square root of 0 is 0. Negative doesn't affect the 0, and then you have 0 minus 2, which gives you negative 2. Now the next thing I'll choose is 0, because 0 plus 1 is 1, square root of 1 is 1, and then you have the negative in front of there, so that makes it negative 1. Negative 1 minus 2 gives you negative 3. And then the next number I'll choose is 3. 3 plus 1 is 4. Square root of 4 is 2. The negative makes it negative 2. Negative 2 minus 2 is negative 4. Now the next number I'll choose is 8. 8 plus 1 is 9. Square root of 9 is 3. That makes it negative 3. And negative 3 minus 2 is negative 5. Now you could ask, why are you choosing these numbers and not choosing any other numbers? I'm choosing these numbers because they're giving me a perfect square inside the square root. And so if it's a 4, then I know the square root of it. If it's a 9, I know the square root of it. And that's why I'm choosing these numbers right here, because they give me a perfect square inside here. You are able to choose any other numbers if you like, as long as you follow the domain. So x has to be greater than or equal to negative 1. But then you'll have to use your calculator, because if you, let's say you sub in 5 here, 5 plus 1 is 6. You don't know what the square root of 6 is. You have to use the calculator then. Now, based on these numbers here, I have negative 1, and negative 2, which is right here. And then I have 0 and negative 3, which is right there. And then I have 3 and negative 4, which is right there. And then I have 8 and negative 5 right there. And this is how my graph goes. Now, no, the graph keeps on going to the right, but you cannot go this way because your domain is x has to be greater than or equal to negative 1. And after you graph, do the range then, because that's the easiest way to see the range once you graph it. Because now the range, you know, if you're scanning this way, nothing happens till you hit the y value, negative 2, and then from negative 2 on, going forward to negative infinity. So therefore, y has to be less than or equal to negative 2. And this is how you graph radical or square root functions. Thank you for watching. Stay safe. Bye-bye.